It's bad. Anime. Bruh.
And we're recording.
Oh my god, yay! Okay, we're leaving this in. I'm explaining what just happened. So by the way, we're in person today. And
Yay! Woo!
Yeah!
We can high five.
high five and shit. Bad anime. Hi, I'm Rob. That's John.
Oh yeah, right. This is a podcast where we decide is this anime
Bad. And so we're feeling a little loose today because at the time of recording, my birthday is in a couple days.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Bouncy.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Super pumped. It was one of our best friend's birthday not too long ago.
Yes.
Any audio issues? Are we good?
Oh no, I'm just adjusting. We're all set.
Okay, perfect. Sweet. So we're having a little birthday bash later on, but we figured Bouncy come in early. We know between the podcast and our upcoming Sabretooth projects,
Yeah.
Sabretooth, look
The
it up.
band.
The band. Hi.
That
Good.
we have.
Love that band.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we figured come in. We're gonna just have some fun working some creative projects. We stopped by the liquor store. I wanted to pick up my friend a gift, and then I also got myself a bit of Pink Whitney vodka.
A bit is an exaggeration, under exaggeration.
Understatement is what you meant.
Because yes, that's the word.
You also just ripped another. Okay, so what happened was, Bouncy, you want to take over the process?
Sure.
Me purchasing.
We arrive at the liquor store, right? And Rob has become very fond of this type of alcohol called Pink Whitney, which is basically like a vodka, but it's lemonade, so it's like really sneaky, gets you drunk.
It's a pink lemonade flavored vodka,
right?
I guess also calling it vodka might be a little misleading. Well, it's what it is. But here's the thing:
it's a vodka archetype. It's
Exactly.
it's in the vodka family, but it's not like
Exactly.
it's not like a real it's not like a Kettle One or anything. It's like
Exactly.
it's more lemonade, but it's
Essentially.
alcoholic.
But the thing is,
30%, if I'm not
it's
mistaken.
It's 60 proof, 30% alcohol.
Lord.
Which is a lot.
Wow.
So not only do they sell these things in bottles,
Mm-hmm.
so I got a bottle of that. It's
Right.
in my liquor cabinet right now.
course.
I took out the empty Pink Whitney bottle and replaced it with the new one because that's how I roll. I'm on vacation for my day job as well. So
You are on vacation technically as of today.
it feels really good. But anywho, so I got my friend a really nice bottle of whiskey. Our friend whose birthday just passed, like I mentioned before, and I just go, oh no, and then I stumble in down the aisle and grab some Pink Whitney vodka. I grabbed the bottle as if it was a bit like I fell into it
Yeah, right,
to reference the meme. But as I'm walking up to the register, I see an opportunity. And Bouncy, would you like to tell the people listening what opportunity I took?
Well, upon walking up to the register with the bottle of Pink Whitney, I saw a little thing, a pack of 10 nips of Pink Whitney.
Right. And for those who are a little newer to drinking, we got one review on Apple Podcast recently saying this is great while drinking. So I like to believe
Yes.
I like to believe that our audience is joining us. But for those who are maybe a little younger or not alcohol aware, a nip is a reference to a very small bottle.
Yes, very tiny. It's a shooter. You
Yeah,
can
exactly.
basically take it.
Yeah. Basically, it contains roughly the same as a standard shot.
Mm-hmm. So Rob sees a pack of 10 of these, and I see them first, or at least I thought I saw them first. And I see them, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, wow, more Pink Whitney. That's crazy. How funny would it be? And I just see Rob grab them with his hand, put them directly on the counter.
Yep.
And then the person checking you out said to you, "Have a good time."
Yes,
Not even have a good day.
I pointed this out to
It
you
was
as we were
good
leaving.
time.
I'm like, Bouncy, she said, "Have a good time," knowing you're gonna drink a lot of this tonight. Have a great time. So I mean, she was very supportive.
She was very supportive.
That's all I could say for
Yeah, she
certain.
was very supportive.
I felt good.
Yeah.
I think that was the point.
And you should.
And speaking of feeling good, right before we said, as we were laughing, or erupting in laughter beforehand, you took another shot of Pink Whitney. Because now these nips are so fun. And what we'd be doing basically all afternoon is just randomly grabbing nips of Pink Whitney. No matter what the context, what we're doing. It's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. We grab a whip of Pink Whitney.
But the purpose is to not announce that you're having a Pink Whitney,
exactly.
but the ability to just be like, oh yeah, I'll see you later. Immediately down a Pink Whitney.
Exactly. So
out of nowhere. So that's what I did when we started the show today.
Exactly.
I
So-
felt like, keep the bit going.
Keep it bit going, and it was just so casual. It was amazing. So we each had probably we're not going too hard yet.
Yeah, but tonight we are celebrating Rob's birthday and our other friend Eric's birthday at the same time. So things are going to get wild. So what we decided to do today to pregame that is, of course, do one of our favorite things, and that's watch Violence Jack.
Favorite things is a stretch. Okay, how this came about? We're back to the well, back to home base, so to say. And our second official episode ever, we covered Violence Jack.
We did. Evil Town. Yes, that's the name of it.
Which was the second OVA released in Japan, but the first one released in the Western market. So we're following the Western order. And over a year later, we're here doing part 2 of that release order.
Yes.
We got Hellswind.
Yep.
How this transpired is, I have a collection of Blu-rays and anime DVDs of stuff, not readily available on streaming services. And since we knew we were going to be in person today, we just kind of, I basically threw 5 or 6 DVDs at Bouncy. I'm like, pick something.
I mean, you recently moved.
Yeah, exactly.
So the DVDs are all spread out in different locations. And we took a box out of your storage space and we looked in it and you just threw 5 DVDs at me and you were like, pick one. And I was like, oh, I'm a creature of habit. Let's do Violence Jack.
Creature of habit, or just I don't want to think today.
I don't want to think today.
We're having a lot of fun.
I don't like any new things. I like things that I know about.
Let's not ruin the day with too much thought.
Yes, you're right.
So we watched Hellswind.
Yes, Violence Jack, Hellswind, which last year we watched Evil Town, as we said. And so this year, going back to Violence Jack, I'm surprised it took us a year to get back to Violence Jack, but at the same time, I'm not.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay, it's very bizarre.
We have had some weird conversations in the past year about our Violence Jack viewing, especially in our 50th episode. I think we broke it down a little bit, that things that we've seen since then make it look not as bad.
Right.
As it potentially was when we first saw it, I think.
My initial experience with Evil Town was thinking it was horrible.
Yeah.
But so much other bullshit has come up on my radar since then.
Heal.
Oh, fuck that show. I'm sorry. Every time the redo of Healer comes up, I get pretty mad. I get it. Some people like the show. Some people also like Nazi Germany. So,
oh my god.
Okay, that was a little intense. I'm not sure if we're gonna leave that one in or not.
I think I will and see what happens. But that's fine. That's okay.
Anyway, so my opinion of Violence Jack has softened because Jack had some moral compass to him. Barney's going crazy downstairs.
Oh my god, that's more of a yell than a bark. That's like
Barney doesn't like new people.
Oh yeah, that's right. He doesn't even like me, and I'm not new.
No,
I'm old.
You've been coming and going for years now.
I've been around.
Yeah,
and every time he sees me, I can't make direct eye contact with him because if I do, it's over. But he'll just run away from me and be sad.
Exactly. But then eventually he will go up to you for pets and affection.
He will. Especially when new people come.
Yes.
Because he's like, okay, so at least you're new, right?
I kind of know you.
I don't like you, but I know you at least.
It's you're still on my neutral side.
Yeah, you're on my dog radar.
Yep.
Dog soldier.
Oh, we can talk about that later.
That's another episode. Yeah.
That's another episode.
I'm sorry.
Breadcrumbs.
What were we talking about?
Violence Jack.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're back to it. And we decided today to watch Hellswind.
Again, following, like I mentioned before, following the
Western release
order
trajectory, right?
And that actually plays into the very, very end of the OVA.
You mentioned that
because you were looking at me like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'm like, I kind of can talk about this.
Okay, good.
From both the Japanese and Western perspective.
I'm glad you can.
Yeah, sweet. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Hellswind and what the fuck we just watched because, shockingly, even though this was another Violence Jack OVA. It felt very different.
It did feel different, very different in positive ways and negative ways.
Oh, both. Yeah,
I feel like it felt very different in that it wasn't. It was more. Maybe not more. I don't know. It was a great amount of bloody, as the previous one was. The violence was violence.
Of course.
He is the Violence Jack, so he needs the violence.
Yes.
But there was a hint of I don't know if it meant to be there, but I actually laughed a few times.
There was way more levity.
There was a lot more. There was a lot more
a lot more in comparison to Evil Town. A lot more levity.
Evil Town was just sad, being sad and depressed.
Evil Town took itself incredibly
It
seriously.
did. This was less.
Much less.
A lot less.
I would say this one had, like you said, had some really good comedic moments.
It did, even if they didn't intend it to be. It was
I'm
very
still
funny.
trying to figure out what they were intending here, because a lot of the directorial choices, a lot of the choices and everything in this kind of confuse me.
Well, the animation, for lack of a better term, was poopy the entire time.
Well, no, there were some moments that looked pretty good.
Some looked decent. Some
Looked
looked
terrible.
like it was paper clipped together, and it was really bad.
Yeah, so this one must have had less of a budget going on. And
I
this
think
one,
it did because Evil Town, like, say what you will about the animation there, like,
Yeah.
it was pretty
Consistent.
good. It was pretty good. It was very consistent in what it set out.
much
This
more
one,
consistent in this one, yeah.
A little more blippy, a little more clippy.
Yeah, a little more.
A lot of weird stuff going on in terms of imagery.
let's call it. How should I put this? Dodgy is a good word.
Dodgy, yes.
Yeah, like
dodgy is very good.
Yeah.
Dodgy is nice.
Oh my goodness, sorry. I was looking at my phone and seeing a bunch of messages from different people. I'm like, oh my god.
Humble brag, all right? Popular.
Hey, I get this once a year, so I'm going to revel in it a
You're
little
right.
bit.
It's this man's birthday.
So-
Well, around a birthday, yeah.
Exactly.
It's
So before I
it's
go
birthday
back
night.
into my little cave, I cry for 20 minutes.
Yes.
But then I remind myself everything's okay because the St. Louis Battlehawks have a winning record.
That's right. And remember that you're hot and you're cute. You could do anything you want.
He said that while grabbing another nip of Pink Whitney. I'm sorry, the blush on my face has to fade a little before I continue with my thoughts here.
Let's get into it though. Let's get into Hellswind because
Let's get into Hellswind.
so
A lot simpler than
it
Evil
was
Town.
simpler, not as much plot lines crossed over. It was still that biker gang imagery. So, right,
Yes.
I mean, the whole story, I mean, the first sequence was pretty maddeningly violent, but you had, essentially, we're introduced to the main villains, which are this biker gang, which are called Hellswind, of
Right.
course. And they ride in and they get this guy and his girlfriend, and the guy's driving a Jeep and desperately trying to escape, but also kill some of them in the process. It's pretty
I
funny.
feel like he's not trying to kill them in the process. That just kind of happens.
He just has to, which is funny because I had to write down this line because it was so funny.
Right.
And the voice acting will come up a lot in this episode. It was
yeah.
very silly.
Yes.
Very silly and dumb. Kind of funny though.
Hysterical at some points,
Very
actually.
hysterical. But because there was one point early on where he runs over a guy in the biker gang, this guy that they're
Yes.
chasing in the Jeep, and he said, "I had to run over that guy." It was straightforward. It is a straightforward case of him or us. But he said like a straightforward case of him or us, like in such a perfect non-space term that I was like, "What the fuck is him or us?"
Well, it's humorous. And I just started crying.
So that was great. It really
And
introduced
then-
us to like the voice cast and like their I guess capabilities or lack thereof.
This had to be one of those early to mid 90s dubs where
Definitely.
they were really figuring out how anime worked.
If there was a doctor character throughout this whole thing, I know exactly what he would have sounded like.
Because he was still working on the Bow virus.
Yes.
He would have forgotten what show he was in. Violence Jack. Maybe someone had a few too many cocktails before they stepped in the recording booth. Oh,
I'll have the Pink Whitney, please.
Remember when we got Pink Whitney Cosmos in Atlantic City?
That was awesome. And it was after you won a bunch of money on roulette,
Yeah, that was a fun
which was pretty sick. I also won a bunch of money on roulette that night.
Sean won a bunch of money at the slots.
He did. We had a good weekend.
We all left with money.
Why Is this the problem with gambling?
Yes,
it's
very
like
much so.
really fun.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
just really fun when you win.
when you win and you just keep chasing that high and then you get broke and then you
Yeah, like, I mean, going into a place with
Sorry, I reached for the Pink Whitney.
like, oh god, reach out for the Whitney again with all the intent in the world to drink it. Then you put it
Yes.
down. It's like not now.
Not now. 'Cause I know the moments.
You know when it's time, sailor. You know.
But yeah, I mean, the beginning of it was like the whole sequence of they eventually the biker gang catches up with them.
Yes.
And they very brutally dismember the guy with the chainsaw.
Oh yeah, it was gross.
It was see, like I feel like I would be desensitized to stuff like that because usually in movies
yes.
nowadays, a chainsaw scene is very like, okay, cut, good, cut,
Yeah, exactly.
good, chainsaw massacre, whatever.
Yeah.
But now this was like it took him time to like cut off the guy's legs.
It was like a little
It
bit
was
real.
like,
Yeah, it was like sawing through a tree.
it was.
Yeah, and and the entire time the guy's screaming and dying and bleeding out everywhere.
Yeah, and then like they cut his legs off, and then they cut his middle so that his intestines
Intestines
fall
falling
out,
out.
and then the captain guy is like, I'm not done with him yet. I'm
Yeah,
like,
the
I'm
cap-
pretty sure he's done with
The captain
life,
who looked like
sir.
Abdullah the Butcher for no reason.
He did look like Abdullah the Butcher. It was weird.
And continuing the
purple lipstick.
Evil Town trend of like incorporating a lot of wrestling references for no reason.
Weirdly enough, yeah.
But
you're
very
right.
specific late 80s, early 90s
Yep.
Japanese wrestling references.
Exactly.
But weirdly enough, only the foreign guys,
Yeah, weird. Yeah.
which were the villains.
Only the Gaijin.
Yeah, only the Gaijin, and they cast them as villains.
Very interesting. But then, yeah, he chainsaws the guy's
Interesting.
head off, and then
Yeah.
he like shows it to the girlfriend. He's like, "What you want to kiss your boyfriend?"
No.
And you were like, "I saw this coming," and I
Yeah.
was like, "That's great."
Unfortunately, I think I'm just a little honed in on the guy's thought process here because I can very much see this being a scene from his manga.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But knowing how, here's the thing, this in ways conceptually was as violent and gross as Evil Town, but not as nearly as explicit.
It wasn't. You're
So
right.
I was
It didn't feel as long either.
No, it felt a lot shorter. I think it was a good like 10 or 15 minutes shorter.
10, 15. Okay, yeah.
But this one didn't feel as arduous as Evil Town. Evil Town was an hour that felt like 3 days
Yeah, it did feel like a long fucking time.
because there's too much.
There was. This one was pretty succinct in
really
how it
was.
attacked it. And essentially, the part that kind of was so crazy to me that kind of like Evil Town, Violence Jack doesn't appear till a good way through the
Oh, this one even
the
longer.
show.
It felt like
it was longer.
It felt like halfway through, actually, we got a glimpse of Jack, and again, that was just a glimpse. He didn't do anything till even longer because what happened here is, June is the name of the female that
June.
I think I caught
the girl, and of course, after they killed her boyfriend, they of course sexually assaulted her.
Yes, but but luckily this time,
Like as Violence Jack indicates, as you would think, and that was like I was like okay, because I saw you reaching for a remote, and I was like, oh, yep, there's gonna be a scene like that.
yeah, I just wanted to mute it.
Whoo boy,
Oh God,
yeah. So we knew that was coming, but
we knew it was.
the whole story is actually really based around her when you think about it.
No, she is the protagonist here.
Yeah, because she wants revenge, and she's out for revenge against this biker gang.
It really
for, like,
is. To use a crude term, it is like a 1970s rape revenge film.
It is.
Really feels like that, but with a lot of other side stuff thrown in.
Yeah.
Because after her traumatic and dramatic opening sequence, we cut to Hope Town, which is basically like a kind of like a mix between a western frontier village and a shanty town.
It's literally Hope Town is just screaming, "Pillage me!" Like that is like there is no there,
Daddy.
like, Dad, pillage me, Daddy. Vroom vroom, come on your big trikeys and pillage me. That is what Hope Town communicates to me. But it's a small shanty town because we're in a post-apocalyptic world, and. You have all these kids in school, and they have like a makeshift school, which is actually pretty funny. And the teacher's like, "Did you grow your plants?"
Yeah.
And then one of the kids is like, "Teacher, my plant wouldn't grow." And she's like, "Well, maybe because you're a fucking idiot."
He's like, "No, my dad threw away the plant and called me stupid." And she's like, "Oh, that sucks."
Sounds like a home problem. Sounds like a you problem. Not
And
a
then
me
this other
problem.
kid just shows up and goes, "Teacher, my plants have sprouted." And you and I were looking at each other going like, that's a metaphor for his balls dropping.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Oh, yeah. He blushed the whole time, and she was like, "That's great."
He's like, "Oh, that's great, scamp."
Little boy.
They said his name like 8 times, but I didn't catch it.
His name was really, really hard. It was like, it was a P word.
There's a P in there somewhere. Let's just call him Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
Steve is good. We'll take Steve.
We'll take
Yeah.
Steve. So I think it started with an S and there was a P in there somewhere.
Oh, S. Yeah, there was an S and a P. Something happened like that. Steve.
Let's call him Steve.
He's Steve.
But anyway, so
He could be like the Steven with the P.
that's exactly what I was
Steven,
thinking.
STV.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Steve. Anyway, so we see Steve's parents. They run like the local shop. And
His dad's got an ass though. His dad's got a.
there was a
donk.
weird scene where like I don't think they intended it this way, but it looked like it, where his ass was just so big.
His dad's butt was legitimately the sexiest thing about this show. It was. I was like, wow. Like I'm pretty straight laced myself, but there may be a time when.
Well, here's the thing.
When I need to switch things up a little bit, and I mean, for that, it's all I'm saying is it wouldn't be that difficult. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, I just have to disagree with you because what happens is I'm going to build to something here. Because Hell's Wind is the name of the biker gang. We saw the intro.
That's right. Yeah.
They show up in Hope Town, and there's a few different lines of dialogue. People going, "Oh my God, that's Hell's Wind," and then people saying, "Oh my God, that's a biker gang called Hell's Wind." I'm like, you're repeating the same information.
Oh, literally the sentence right after they said it.
So like, stop doing that.
Yeah. They did that a lot.
We were laughing at that, and then next thing you know, we cut to June she's like in a forest, for some reason shirtless, with scars all over her body. She's ripped now.
Yep. No shirt.
Yeah, for
no shirt,
no reason.
No jacket. She's just like that now.
She's randomly shooting bows and arrows, and
She's Rambo.
What?
She's Rambo.
She is Rambo, exactly. Yeah. And I know Steve's dad had a badonk, but I'm just looking at June going, oh. So
she's a contender.
She's a contender for the hottest thing in the show.
Yes.
Anyway, so and at some point, as she's doing like a training montage, Jack is just in the forest and nothing happens.
So this is what I want to know from you.
Yes.
Have you seen the third OVA?
No.
In this DVD series?
No.
It was called. So it was called, I think, Harlem Bomber.
It's supposed to,
but it's spelled on the DVD. It's spelled as Harlem Bomber.
Yeah, so I need to double check this real quick because
it's just a News One story waiting to happen.
News One story.
That was so funny to me. I was like, oh my god.
I don't know how to really refute.
But here's why I bring that up.
Yes.
Violence Jack, right? In Evil Town.
Yes.
We were introduced to him because he was hiding behind a rock.
Oh, was it Harlem Bomber this entire time?
It was Harlem Bomber?
I think it was Harlem Bomber this entire time.
Interesting.
Oops. I'm the idiot.
That's fascinating. I wonder where. Interesting.
Yeah, it is Harlem Bomber. Wow. I'm an idiot.
But
cool. I'm going to take the fall on that one.
Yeah, it's fine. Hey, that's what we do around here.
Yeah. We get things wrong and we stay wrong. As you reach for
Pink
more
Whitney moment.
Pink Whitney.
But he so in Evil Town, right?
Yes.
He gets revealed to be hiding, just sleeping, I guess, behind a bunch of rocks.
Yes.
This time, he's just walking through the woods.
Yeah.
And this June is like, that guy's huge.
Yeah, he's a big
and you
dude.
just see him and you're just like, oh, that's Violence Jack. Whoa, that's our guy.
Yep.
So he's already done Earth.
Yes.
He's already done like Forest. The next OVA, he has to appear in water or fire. He's going through all the elements, this Violence Jack. So I was really happy to see that he was just waltzing around a forest. He's kind of half bandaged up at all times.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of chilling, walking through the forest. She's like, whoa, that's a guy. And then she runs away. And then we just don't see him for another like bunch of scenes.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Violence Jack was, I gotta say, like in an OVA called Violence Jack was the weirdest character in this entire OVA.
Oh, especially because his characterization from the last one was fairly different.
It was.
Yeah. Well, again, he doesn't show up for a while, so we can go back to June and hers, because really it's her story.
It is.
And Steve's story.
Yeah.
I wish we remembered his name, but
I don't care.
I'm not looking it up. Anyway, so June and Steve, they take it upon themselves like they have to fight Hellswind.
Yeah, right.
And, at one point, Steve's about to, like, shoot one of them with a makeshift bow and arrow he made before June shows up with her explosive arrows and starts blowing the shit up out of everything.
Yeah. Ramboing.
You're Ramboing hard. They eventually kidnap the school teacher, Steve's school teacher, who we mentioned, who had the little blushing moment with Steve. And at that point, June's like, what do we do? And Jack shows up. And all he does is stand there, and they just unload thousands of rounds of ammunition in his system.
So much bullets.
And then
so many.
And at one point, Steve runs up to see what's happening, and he just gets covered in Jack's blood.
Yeah.
But it looked like they dumped a bucket of water on him. It wasn't like a traditional splattering. It looked like organs were falling on him.
It did.
And then Jack's first line was, "Look at it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get used to the sight of blood, kid."
And he's like, do I know you, sir?
And then Jack falls down. The Hellswind rides off. June shows up and goes, "Are you all right?" It's like,
what do you mean,
think?
Is he all right?
What do you think is going on, man?
He got shot 1,500 times.
But to our surprise, she listens and goes, "Oh my God, he's still alive." We're like, what?
What do you mean he's still alive? He has all these bullet wounds. And she actually goes over to him. He's like, she's like, "Oh my God, he's alive. He's been shot so many times. He looks like Swiss cheese."
And I turned to you and going, why was that in there?
Why did they need to say that?
Why did they include that line?
But they perhaps, okay, leading up to the funniest moment in the entire OVA for me.
Yes.
Right. They take Jack back to town with everybody that's left from Hope Town, from the raid.
Yes.
They're kind of chilling. And the boy, Steve, is like, oh, we gotta go, kill him.
Yeah.
Kill him and stuff. And June is like, June talks to Steve's dad and she's like, hey, do you know where their hideout would be? And Steve's dad is like, no, but I did hear of this place. Yeah, that was like 5 kilometers west.
It's like, who wrote that fucking line?
I'm like, okay. So she sets out for there, and then the boy is like, we got to go help her.
And he finds a bunch of guns, and he's like, we can use these.
I'm like, where'd you get these guns?
But that wasn't the party that got me going. His dad just fucking slaps him and says, no.
And then goes anyway.
Yes.
There was no scene that he convinced him to go.
Well, because fucking Jack is lying there, covered in...
That was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my... Literally, okay, so they take Jack back to town and bandage him up, clearly.
Yes.
And while Steve is convincing his dad or telling his dad, like, we have to go, Jack, like... just appears randomly in the scene on the floor like a big caterpillar. And he's like, yeah, let's go. I'm like, what the fuck
Just his head is out.
Oh my,
And then he starts expositing some bullshit about virtues and stuff. I'm like, is this the same Jack from Evil Town?
He looks like this somehow turned into like a Disney movie at some point. Like from like the humor of just Violence Jack being this big burly dude that murders people, just being like, hey, yeah, let's go, kid.
Yeah. And then
like,
he goes,
what do you, you're Violence Jack.
Yeah, all like the quiet stoicism and like complex moral compass of Jack was completely sacrificed for just like a straightforward, like it's like a Disney hero.
I felt like I was watching Big Hero 6 or something.
Yes, and he's like, sometimes you gotta fight, kid. It's like, who are you?
Who are you, dude? Like, what you're nothing like the Violence Jack in Evil Town.
No.
What's happened since then?
I guess it's something funny in my head. It somehow just popped up the original Vampire Hunter D, where he's like, "Don't cry in front of her, kid." Like the quiet stoicism.
Yeah.
It's like it felt like that was what they were trying to do, but it came more across as like a Disney hero because
of like he's a cool guy.
For some reason, they insisted that Jack.
He's just misunderstood.
For some reason, they just had Jack yell a bunch in this one.
Yeah, they did.
Which kind of makes sense because he's such a massive guy.
Yeah, he did yell a lot. Most of the dialogue in this OVA was yelling. It was like, and
there was a lot of great from the supporting cast of the biker gang where they just kept swearing a lot.
Dude, every time they rolled up, like when they all shot out Violence Jack, like one of them rolled up, he's
fuck
like,
you!
What the fuck?
Yeah.
This guy's huge.
What the fuck is going on?
Fucking Godzilla over there.
That was an actual line.
It
fucking
was a
Godzilla
line.
over there.
So funny. It's like, why? I love it.
And there was one really grotesque scene where, actually, it wasn't too bad. I thought it was going to be way worse. Where it was two guys on motorcycles. They tied like a rope to each of the guys' ankles. And they drove in opposite directions, so obviously split in half.
Yeah.
And then one guy was like, "Oh, I'm splitting out my sides. Splitting. Get it? Laugh, you fuckers." I'm like, what is that line?
To like all the sad people watching their friends die in Hope Town. He's like, laugh, you fuckers.
Yeah. And it's just, it feels like a comedy at some point.
It does.
It borderline self-parody.
It really did. Like, especially in the dub. Like, I don't know how like the sub goes with that, but like the dub really felt like it was a parody.
Even in the I suspect even in the sub, because if you notice, like during like the ending scenes, Jack's mouth was moving a lot.
It was.
That's not characteristic of how Jack was
very
portrayed in Evil Town.
You're right.
Exactly. A lot more muted and subdued.
Right.
But like a more of an omnipresent force and more, I guess you could say mystical in a way.
Yeah.
He felt like, in Evil Town, he felt like a mystical monster. This, he just felt like a big dude.
He did. He just felt like a Chad.
Exactly.
Like a total just like, yeah, I'm sticking up for what's right.
Exactly.
Like, okay.
Which I guess it's refreshing in a way. It's different.
It was like Violence Jack, but like
dumb.
I don't know. Dumb and I don't like. Is it more Southern?
A little bit, yeah.
He's just like, like
a lot of the early, for some reason, a lot of the early dubs in the U.S. were done in the South. So
yeah, okay.
Texas was a big area for dubbing this. I have no idea who dubbed this, but
weird.
Just my estimation there.
But yeah, they go to the base and they find the motorcycle gang, and June does first.
Yes,
she gets captured.
Yeah, they're like, fuck you, and she's like, oh fuck.
And then man, there's this brutal scene where this guy just like, I mean, they
like
just like
knife
strip
guy.
her, and then the guy just like cuts her with a knife, like in weird lines all over her body.
And he's
so
like, I'm an artist.
Yeah, that was some.
I'm an artist in pain, and he's like carving her to bits. I'm like, oh my god,
that was some creepy stuff. Yeah,
god damn.
And then of course but then at the last moment when he's about to like say he was saying like, do you want to see your own intestines? She was like, obviously I don't. And he was gonna like do it. A knife comes out of nowhere and just smacks him in the head and kills him.
And this shows how much Evil Town stuck with us, because we saw that knife. We're like, that's Jack's knife.
It's Jack. It's a Jack knife.
Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash. Oh,
but anyway,
it's quads.
Damn, those poor boys.
Those poor quads.
Have been through so
I've
much
never seen sadder chicken cutlets in my entire life. Poor guys.
Don't know what to respond to that one. Oh, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
After the knife got thrown, Jack somehow appears from underneath the ground.
Where did the knife come from?
How did he throw the knife?
How did he throw the knife and then burrow himself underground under cement?
Yeah, the problem was towards the end he became Bugs Bunny.
And like a Bugs Bunny Diglett combo.
Yes.
Kind of like a similar amalgamation, I guess.
kind of wanted to yell Pokemon gotta catch them all and then I was confused. And I mean there's not too much to say about because the whole ending sequence was just Jack winning.
Yeah, it was just him beating the hell out of everybody.
They tried to fire bazookas at him and was like, he's not going to die.
Yeah.
And then, like, he was covered in fire, but then throwing people while he was on fire.
Yeah, he just became, like, on fire at one point.
He grabbed a helicopter and threw it.
That was fun. That was really funny.
I thought he was going to punch it, but he just grabbed a helicopter and threw it. Again, this kind of feels more like a parody.
It does feel like a parody. And at the end, right, like Violence Jack did his job.
He wins.
And he wins. And then he goes his separate ways with the boy like Steve and like everybody. Like, he saved the teacher, he saved the June.
And his last line was like, whatever the actual name was, he going, Steve, you need to grow up fast if you want to survive in this world.
Yeah.
And that was the end until, because there was a cool little Easter egg where, what's it called? The leader of the Hellswind goes to some dude who's like, go to the Slum King for reinforcements. So he leaves. The very end, we see this massive army encroaching.
Yeah, like a very traditional Japanese-looking army.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we see the guy
very like Meiji Restoration samurai army or some shit.
Also just like in like kind of like a Viking kind of move. You just see the guy who went for reinforcements hung dead on one of the on one of the like the motor vehicles, and we see this guy's eyes. Here's the thing, from what I understand, that was the Slum King. Slum King is actually the antagonist of the first OVA that was released, Harlem Bomber. So here's the thing. To the Western audience, we're getting a prelude to the final OVA is what we believe. However, in the original intention, it was a sign that the first villain from the first OVA is going to be back in the next installment. Because this was the third OVA released. So they were teasing that, hey, the Slum King's alive.
Wow.
And now he's going to fight. Jack has to fight him again. But spoiler, this is the last OVA made. So
so he never does fight him again. Okay.
So I guess that might be the reason why they changed the release order in the West, because they had this knowledge of hindsight. So they released 2, 3, 1.
Okay.
So
that it would make sense to ladder into him as the next villain.
Exactly.
Guy.
So you think you're getting Jack versus Slum King for the first and only time. So interesting little tidbit there.
Interesting.
Which means we have to go on to eventually Harlem Bomber, not Harem Bomber, Harlem Bomber.
Both are weird.
Both are equally weird.
Both are just weird for different reasons, you know?
That was Hellswind, I guess.
Wow, yeah, I guess that was it. No, I gotta say, not as egregious as the first one.
Not even remotely.
It wasn't as, sure, there were scenes that were like, oh God, really? But it wasn't very depressing or...
It wasn't nearly as dark.
You're right.
There was a lot more humor, a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And the plot was not nearly as...
wasn't as convoluted.
Dense.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't call the first one, I wouldn't call Evil Town convoluted, but it was dense. With the multi-factions, everyone having their own goals,
right.
The moral compass between the biker gang there and the Section A.
Right.
Like how good are they, but when they're like a bunch of serial rapists.
Right.
So this one didn't ask as many questions.
Yeah.
This one, it wasn't much of like a moral battle. It was just, these people are clearly bad, these people are clearly good.
That's how we're going to do it.
Time for our fight scenes.
Right, let's fuck it up.
It was a lot less complicated, and Jack wasn't nearly as a mysterious force. He was just kind of our big dumb action hero.
Yeah.
But is that
a
change that we didn't like? Or is that a change that is kind of refreshing?
I think I thought it was a good change.
Okay.
Maybe I just had too much of a preconceived notion of what this character should be.
Yeah, that could be it.
But I prefer this version.
Okay.
He was a little more, I don't know, like upbeat, if he can be. I don't know. There was a little more dimension to him than just like, my name is Violence Jack. Yeah, I kill, I murder. But for good. Yeah.
Yeah, this one he definitely showed some off more of his personality, so it feels like a natural progression from the second from Evil Town in that way.
It does, yeah. He got a little more. It seems like he just got a little more comfortable.
Yes,
and just like was just straight shooting. So yeah, it's weird. It's hard for me to compare the two, as in like which one I liked more. I gotta say,
Yeah, it's hard.
But I didn't. Well, I'll start by saying this: I didn't like either of them. They weren't like good in my opinion. Like, were they bad? I guess we'll discuss that. But I guess this one was more entertaining.
Yeah,
it was less dense. Which the plot was more surface level,
yes,
which is fine,
simpler to understand,
which
easier
is
to understand.
fine.
Yeah,
I tend to, as a plot guy, I tend to appreciate the plot of the previous one. If just going plot for plot and like taking scenes out of the picture and characters out of the picture, just for like the plot's sake, I did prefer the previous plot because I found it just had more dimensions.
Yes,
but this I think lended itself better to the series, or lended itself better to like what the series is trying to do.
Right.
Than the previous.
Big,
I guess.
dumb, brutal fun time.
Exactly.
Dark, tinged, brutal fun time.
Exactly. That's where I kind of sat on it. I don't know. What about you? Where'd you sit on this?
It was just it was a little jarring for me, honestly, to go from one extreme being Evil Town and the other extreme being Hell's Wind. It was in a way kind of refreshing to see people smiling.
Yeah, it was.
And almost objectively happy ending. So that was a little bizarre for me. But I mean, I couldn't look away, and I cannot say I was bored. Maybe this is going to sound kind of weird, or maybe a little esoteric, so bear with me.
Sure.
I guess you could say I appreciated Evil Town more because of what it did and the story it told, and what it made my brain go, And I thought,
I did have that as well,
but
a little bit.
As a person looking to be entertained, and I guess on the more emotional aspect, I was like, ha ha, throwing helicopters and dumb stuff.
Yeah, he said fuck. Yeah.
So I think while I appreciated Evil Town more, I think as a viewing experience, I enjoyed this one more.
I agreed.
Because Evil Town, I was exhausted afterwards. This, I'm about to have like a bunch of Pink Whitney and hang out with the boys, and I feel good about that.
Yeah, I did feel
like this didn't ruin my day.
Horrendously exhausted at the end of Violence Jack.
Because like
Evil
Town like almost ruined our day.
It did ruin our day, pretty much. We had to do an episode afterwards, and we were like, guys, I'm just sorry. We can't do this.
No, but we did Burn Up.
We did Burn Up, which really lifted our spirits, I think.
Oh, entirely. But I don't need Burn Up after this.
I agree. I didn't feel like I needed to balance out something.
Yes.
It was like it did what it did. It was dark at points, but it did what it did, and at the end, kind of finished, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that being said, I guess we got to answer the question. Would you call this one bad?
Yes.
Really?
I think I would.
Interesting.
I think I would. I think I would because a lot of things about it were just so... I think I will call it bad lovingly. I think because the quality was... At points, the animation I mentioned before, the animation quality was like absolute garbage at points.
Right.
Well, that's a technical thing, and like that doesn't sway me too much, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it is an extra. It is an extra little bit.
Yeah.
But I think just in general, like, I don't think they meant for it to be funny, and it was funny.
Yeah.
Because of just how terrible it was. In some ways, and did that make it entertaining? Yes. But do I think it's a good anime? No.
Okay,
I think that's maybe my stance on it. Where
fair.
Would I watch it again? You'd probably have to do some convincing, but I could.
You could put it on the background, maybe.
It's not as like Evil Town, where if you suggested to watch Evil Town, which I don't know what kind of serial killer would suggest to do that, but I would probably say, no, I don't want to do that. This one, you could convince me to watch it again.
Yeah.
You could convince me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good anime, a good show, a good OVA. But I think I'm gonna hit bad on this one. I don't hit bad often, but
No, you don't.
I'm gonna do it because I did it for Evil Town, and this one was different.
Well, I thought you said Evil Town was not bad.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Oh, shit.
That was an honest, like, oh, fuck.
Did I change my mind in the 50th episode?
I did.
You did.
Because I went from bad to not bad.
Bad to not bad.
Evil
Oh,
Town.
yeah. Damn it. Well, I want to be consistent and not be a hypocrite, but I still think this was bad.
Oh, honestly,
And maybe I'll go back to bad on Evil Town, too, because
well, you know, we're humans, and not everything's going to be consistent.
You're right.
Which is tough, because sometimes media clicks us in a certain way, and sometimes it doesn't.
What about you?
See, that's tough, because you bring up a very good point with it being not very well made at some points, but is it good? No.
Right.
But is it bad? I don't think I can explain to you why. I'm leaning towards no. I just don't think it was.
I think you had too much fun watching it, probably.
I had a lot of fun watching
Yeah.
it, and I had a lot of fun with this new interpretation of this character. I really liked June. I really enjoyed June. I just thought her struggle was kind of cool to see.
You know what I'm going to say? I don't think this needed Violence Jack.
Exactly.
I don't think he was a necessity.
No, honestly, this would have been better and possibly good if it was entirely June's story.
Yes, it
If
would have been so
imagine
much
if it was
better.
just June and Steve.
Yes,
It could have been very good.
it could have been very good, and I think it would have been a lot more compelling.
Yes.
Plot wise, because
Yes.
she was like ruined by this gang, so she's out for revenge. I think it would have been much better as a revenge story.
Yes.
Violence Jack just kind of felt shoehorned into his own OVA at this point.
Which is very odd, right?
Very weird. It's maybe that's part of why I'm thinking it's bad. But
Right. And I think I was just too pleasantly surprised by everything I saw on screen. I had too much fun to call it bad.
All right.
So
Wow.
it's one of those split decisions.
Did we flip like in our? Am I now more jaded than you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you are, yeah.
That's crazy. It only took a year.
It only took a year. No, I think, I definitely, well, you've obviously become more jaded. I think the question is are you now more jaded than I am? Sometimes I lean towards yes.
I guess we'll have to see.
I think, but it's weird. You and I have different triggers, I've noticed, to what really pisses us off. And we're going to explore those more in more episodes.
Indeed, we will. Well, this was lovely.
That was fun, everybody.
Pink Whitney time, baby.
I think it's time for more Whitney. All right, everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah, see you later. Bye. Bye.
It's bad.
Wow. Oh my God. What a rousing podcast of anime conversation. Am I right, my compares? Am I right, my weebdom? Anywho, yeah, you can send us a message if you want. Did you like this podcast? Did you hate this podcast? Do you want to kill me? Do you want to drench me in Calaxosaur blood and watch me drink it? That's fine. Just send us an email at badanimepod@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram at badanimepod, all one word. You can also find us on YouTube as Bad Anime, and you could leave a comment on whatever video you want to leave a comment on. We'll read them all anyways. We don't care. I love you. Kiss, kiss.
Simple Equations Podcast Network.